Okay, so if you're talking about Selenium, the most common thing that you will hear from the people is Selenium is an open source automation testing tool. So technically this is wrong. So your Selenium is not a automation testing tool. So rather than saying this, we can say Selenium is an API. Selenium is an API. So what exactly mean by this API? Okay, so I'm not going into the details of API and all those things. I'll just explain you the simple definition of API, what is API, and where exactly that API is triggered. So API stands for application programming interface. So API stands for application programming interface. So this API is basically some kind of mediator between two different entities. So I'm repeating again, API is a mediator between two different entities. Now, what are those two different entities? You can call as entity A, you can call as entity B, and your API is sitting somewhere here. Your API is sitting somewhere here. So what your entity A will do is, this is your entity A and this is your entity B. So your entity A will pass some request, will pass some request through API, and your API will pass the same request to entity B. It will pass the request through entity B, and your entity B will pass some response. It will pass some response to through API, like it will pass the response to API, and your API will send a response back to your entity A. So you are sending some request and you are sending some response. Okay, so this is what your API will do. API will simply take the request, convert it in whatever language that API can understand, and transfer the same thing to entity B, and get the response from entity B. Through API, it will send the response back to your entity A. So this is the simple definition of API, but still with this, people would not understand what exactly mean by API is. So let's see this example. So the example is, this is one entity and there is something in between. Okay, so this is something which is there in between, and there is another entity here. So which is this? All these are three different types of entities. So what is an entity? You will get to know very soon. All right, so this is where I am sitting. Okay, so this is where Naresh is. So Naresh is going to a restaurant. Naresh is going to a restaurant, and Naresh wants to order some food from this restaurant. So Naresh want to order some food from this restaurant, and your food is prepared somewhere here in kitchen. It is prepared in the kitchen. So who will prepare the food? The the food is prepared by someone who is called as chef. Okay, so realistically, this is not going to happen. So what is not going to happen? So realistically, Naresh will not walk into the kitchen directly, and Naresh will not bypass this chef. He will go to the stove or microwave oven, whatever it is. He will not prepare the food by himself. He will not prepare the food by himself. He will bring that food back to his table and he will start eating. So this will not happen. This will not happen. Hypothetically also it will not happen. So this is not called as API. Now what is happening here is Naresh is sitting on a table. He goes to a restaurant. He will call a mediator in between who is nothing but waiter. So waiter will come to my table, or I will speak to the waiter directly if he is nearby. I'm going to order some food. So what I'm ordering is I'm ordering some, let's say, pizza. I want pizza, and along with pizza I want some kind of sauce, some kind of garlic creamy sauce or any kind of thing. So I will order this food to the waiter. Okay, so waiter will take my request. Okay, I'm going to give my request to the waiter. Waiter will write in some book. So if it is a small order, he can basically do, he can remember it. Okay, so what are the different things it is happening? He would either remember my order, he will try to understand my order, or the another possibility is he can write it in a small kind of paper that he is carrying. Okay, small kind of book he is carrying. So waiter will write down what I have given the instructions to him. Now the waiter will deliver those instructions to the kitchen. That means he will deliver to the chef. So what he is delivering? He will open his book and he will say, Naresh want pizza and sauce. Can you please prepare? This is what the instructions he is passing on. This is what the instructions he is passing on. That means I'm sending some request. I'm sending some request. Now what the chef will do? Chef will prepare the food. That means chef will prepare pizza. He will call waiter and he will give that particular pizza and sauce to the waiter. So what he is getting? He is sending response. He is sending response. Now the waiter will take the same response and he will deliver that response back to my table. He will deliver that response back to my table. This is what the mechanism of your API is. So where is your API sitting? Your API is sitting here. So what is an API? It's a mediator between entity A and entity B. So it will take the request from entity A, have a code in whatever language that API can understand. It will have a code written for that API. So that API will process that request. It will deliver to entity B. Now the entity B will deliver the response to the waiter, and the waiter will carry that response and he will deliver it back to my table. So this is your job of your API. Okay, so this is a simple example of a restaurant. Now let's see on an application where exactly your API is sitting. So consider I'm going to my website. In my website, there is a form where people details are stored. Okay, in that form, we have the details something like this. So it has a first name, or simple thing is it has some driving license number. I'm working on an insurance project. It has a driving license number. So you will enter the driving license number here, and there is a button called search button. There is a button called search button, right? So this driving license number, as I'm saying, I'm working for a insurance company. So where are my driving license details? Everything are stored. It is stored in some system. So this system is sitting somewhere here. In this system, there is a place called as database. So this is your database. So in your database, the data is stored in form of rows and columns like this. So this database can be any of the database. So it might be something called as SQL Server. So in SQL Server, so for this columns that you have defined, it will have some few details like first name. So first name, then it also has a DL number or last name, and then DL number. These three details are stored, right? So the first name is Naresh, and the last name is, let's say, K, and the driving license number 12345. So now there is some kind of mediator in between. That mediator is nothing but your API. Your API. So in this API, they have a code. What is the code they have written is, it will accept driving license number, search details, where in DB, and provide results. So this is the code that your API is having. So they have some code written, like the developers will write this code. So now I am a customer. I'm going to enter my driving license number here. Let's say my driving license number is 12345. So driving license number is 12345. So whenever I enter this 12345 and then hit on this search button, so this is called as front end. So we call this as front end of the application. And this is called as database. And this is your API sitting on the back end. You cannot see those APIs. Okay, so they will be hidden, and there will be some code written, and they will just give you the details of API. So your front end will send a request to API. It will send a request to the API. So your API has some code. This code will be triggered, and based on this code, it will connect to the database, and it will check whether the details are there in the database. So driving license number is there in the database. So once it finds the details, or once it doesn't find the details, your SQL server, which is database, it will send a response. It will send a response to API, and your API will deliver the response back here. So what it will display, what is the response that it will deliver? It will deliver the first name, last name, and the DL number. Okay, so DL number, if it is existing, it will say like exists. So where these details will come, these details are displayed on your application. Okay, it will be displayed here. These details are displayed on your application here. So this is the request sent. This is the request sent. This is the response you are getting, and this is the response you are getting. So your API is take the instructions from front end, verify whether the details are there in the database. If it is there or if it is not there, it will send back the response back to your front end of the application. So to do this, we need to have some API knowledge. So there is a API written for this application, which is called as display customer details based on the driving license number. That is one kind of API that would be created. Like this, your application can have multiple APIs created. So to test those APIs, we have some of the tools called as Postman, Rest Assured, SOAP UI, and you also have Parasoft, and so on. These are all the different types of tools that you use in order to test these APIs. These are all the list of tools that you use in order to test APIs. Now the question will be how you use these tools on this API testing. That's the question. How you use these tools on this API testing. Okay, so in order to do the testing of the application, okay, though your APIs are called at the backside, in order like for a tester, in order to do the testing, like the UI testing I'm talking about, you need to have these three things. One is called as UI. UI stands for user interface. You need to have user interface, and then you need to have database, because you need to check your details in the database. So you don't need to know what is an API that is existing at the backside. This is what the details you need in order to do the black box testing. Like in simple words, like manual testing or simple UI testing will be done with the help of these details. So whenever you are doing your API testing, you don't have any API in front of you. You don't have any API in front of you. So you will not have any kind of UI. In place of this UI, you will have the tool, like any of these tools you can use. So this tool is nothing but this one. You can use any of this tool. So in this tool, you will have some kind of files called as JSON files. Okay, JSON files. I'll come back to the definition of JSON, everything and all. We call it as JSON files, or you will have XML files. So your JSON file, like a simple JSON file, would be something like this. So you will have a curly bracket starting. So here you are entering the driving license number, DL number, colon 12345, and you will have this semicolon, you will have this curly bracket at the end. So this is called as JSON file, and this we are going to call it as payload. So payload. So what we are entering, you need to have a DL number field. You just need to enter the data called 12345. Similarly, you will have a DL number colon 12345. This is your front end. This is almost acting like a front end. With the help of this front end, there is some back end also. So exactly the same. One second. Okay. So this is where your backend is. So with the help of this, any of this tool, you are basically sending a request to the database directly. And it will search in the database. If the details are existing, it will get a response. And the response also you will get is in form of a JSON file. So your JSON file, what details you are looking? You are looking for first name. So first name, it will say Naresh. Last name, it will say Kumar. And status, it will say exists, followed with a curly bracket. So this response, that I have written here, this response will be displayed in your tool itself. So what are the advantages that we are getting here is, in order to do the API testing, below are the advantages. So always there is a saying that API testing will be started early than your UI testing. Testing can be started early. So when I say testing can be started early, you don't need to wait until your UI is built. Maybe your UI, there is a plan of building it in 1 month, but you will start your testing today. So that's the meaning of testing can be started early. So what you need, you just need the payloads. So this payload you need, and you need to know the response payload. So this is called as request payload and this is called as response payload. So this will be taken care with the help of API that is written in between. So the second thing is API testing is faster than UI testing. So there is a case where I need to test, let's say 1000 test cases. 1000 test cases in API testing can be executed maybe in 8 hours. But 1000 test cases in UI testing, it might take around 3 to 4 days. So always your API testing is faster. To send a request, to get a response, it can happen over a fraction of seconds also. Over a fraction of seconds also, you can basically get the responses back. So your API testing is faster than UI testing. And the third is API testing. API testing will give accurate results. Will give you accurate results. So let me explain you what I am referring about. Okay. So why I'm saying, like, if you are doing your API testing, still you can say like your application will not have any defects is this one. So what you are doing, this is your front end, and you have a data in the database, right? So let me take back that. This is the one I'm referring, right? Okay, so let me select this. All right. So you are giving your request payload. In request payload, you are entering the driving license number. And when you are sending a request, it is searching in the database and it is giving you the response payload. Okay, so this is how your front end application is. And you are getting the results on your front end, something like this. So on your front end, you have DL number where you are entering that DL number. Let's say your DL number is a field where you are entering that and where you are clicking on search button. So you are entering your driving license number 12345. So it will process the details in the database, and on your application, let's say your application is built tomorrow after 1 month. On your application, your details are coming as first name, last name, uh, status. So that first name is displayed here. That same last name is displayed here. And the same status is also displayed here. So what your UI people they do is they will simply read the values from the database and they will populate here. Suppose if your request and response is proper, and if you are able to get the response on your Postman or SOAP UI or any of the tool, here the developers when they write the code, they will simply take the reference as API and they will populate here. So that's the reason when you do your testing through API, there are less chances that you can find more number of defects in the application. If your API is able to catch more number of defects, your UI will get less number of defects when you are actually testing the application. This is what practically we are doing it in my company. In my company, API testing is smooth. There are a lot of defects that are found through APIs. Now the developers, they started fixing. Now if you see, when we try to catch any number of defects, we get very minimal number of defects. So that minimal number of defects also will not be of this functionality issues. So these are all the functionality related stuff. So you might get you might get some kind of issues, something like this, where this particular field should be here but it is somewhere here. Or you might get some defect saying like the amount in the field should be displayed as 10.0, but it is displaying as 10.00. These are all the small defects. So there are less chances of finding defects in the application when your API testing is proper. So this is the whole thing what we have to know about the API thing. Now where exactly your Selenium is sitting? Your Selenium is sitting here. Your Selenium, as I said, it's an API. That API is sitting here. So now if you see, if you are comparing with your entity A, your entity A is nothing but Eclipse. Your entity A is Eclipse. So your Eclipse will send a request saying like, I want to close an application. Your Eclipse is sending some instruction that I want to close what? I want to close this application. This is your application. So whenever you use the command of API, whenever you use a command of Selenium in your Eclipse to close, when you are running this particular code in Eclipse, your Eclipse will send a request through your Selenium. Selenium will send that request on your application, and your application will give you a response saying like application is closed, and the same result will be displayed in your Eclipse saying like your application is closed. So simple words, you are passing this instruction close, it will take, this is your application opened, there is a close button, it will click on this close button and this application is closed. That output you are seeing when you are running your code through Eclipse. So this is your run button. You will hit on run button. When you hit on run button, this close operation will be taken from Selenium. It will be processed through this. It will do that operation on this application, and your Eclipse can get an output saying like application is closed. This is what would be happening at the backside of your Selenium. So that is the reason Selenium is not an automation tool, it's an API, application programming interface. Okay, any questions? Okay, so that's about the simple definition of API. That's about Selenium, which is sitting in between. So what we are going to do further is, so I thought to configure Selenium and then start with Selenium commands today. So we are already running shortage of time. So I'll be stopping for today. Tomorrow, when we come back, we are going to see how we can download this Selenium, how we can configure, and then how we can write some Selenium code in order to automate some few application is something that we are going to see in tomorrow's session. All right. Okay, so any questions for me? Okay, so if you don't have any questions, so that's it for today. And I will connect with you guys tomorrow around 8:30. And then we will start with Selenium WebDriver in tomorrow's class and continue from there. All right. So no questions. Thanks for joining on time, and talk to you tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Thank you and have a good night. Thanks. Bye.
Good night. Good night. Bye bye.